Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today my second video for this week is going to be my June wrap-up of all the books that I have read. Sorry if it's a little bit loud. My apartment right now is really warm, so I wanted to run my air conditioner, so hopefully you guys can hear this and it's not too noisy in the background. Now, most of the books that I read for this month were for the Read Your Sign challenge that I participated in. If you don't know what that is or you haven't seen those videos, go down into the videos that I have made and you'll see my little stack of books that I picked for the challenge as well. It explains in there, and then my video diaries as well, reading the books for the challenge. I didn't really successfully complete the challenge, but I'm really proud of myself considering I picked really good books that I was really excited to read. It got busy for me in June. I actually went back to work, so I had a lot of time that I was focusing on that. I went back in the middle of June, but I really did read a lot in the beginning, and I've still been doing really well with my reading. I've been reading at least every single day. There's a couple days that I haven't, and I feel like I haven't been able to read like this in so long. I've read books, but I wasn't really excited to read, I guess, but now I kind of have that invigorating feeling. I actually read 5 of the challenges, but I did read 8 books total for June. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. That is awesome. I've never really read that much in a long time, so it feels great, and I'm proud of myself for the month of June. I think it's awesome that I read as many books as I did, so why don't I get started and tell you guys what challenges I completed and what books I read. I'm going to split this up into 2 sections in the video. There is my Read Your Sign challenge books, and then I have a couple books that I read that were for the book club that my best friend Litsy and I do with each other, so we can keep in touch and kind of find our favorite reads. So I have that, as well as, if you don't know, I have become a VIP, a very important page turner for the subscription box Once Upon a Book Club. So I got to read I believe this was the May selection, and I can't wait to tell you guys about that, tell you about my experience with the box. And if you are interested after this video, I do have a coupon code. I am going to link it right now in the bottom of the video, just so you guys know. But if you're interested in getting your own and you've watched my videos about it and you are very intrigued to try this box out for yourself, if you enter my coupon code, I believe it is MenagGirl10, you receive a discount on your box. Let's get started and talk about the books that I completed for the Read Your Sign challenge first. I did say I completed 5 of the challenges. So the first one that I'm going to do is, the challenge was to read a book with your spirit gem in the title, cover, or mentioned throughout the book. So for Sagittarius, the gem is topaz, and if you look up topaz, it can come in different colors. One of the colors is, it's like a clear color. So I chose a white book for that, and the book that I chose was How to Disappear by Sharon Huss wrote. I have no words to describe how amazing this book is. If you didn't see what this book is about when I did my original challenge video, it features social anxiety, and it is about a girl named Vicky. Her best friend moves away, and it's the only person that she has really opened up to and really has gotten her. She starts a new school year. I believe she's a sophomore in this book. A new school year without her best friend, and she finds it hard to make friends. She finds it hard to put herself out there. After a little falling out with her friend, she creates an Instagram page to kind of see how her friend is doing and to try to kind of keep tabs with her, but she becomes one of the viral sensations of that year. She kind of learns along the way how to break out of her shell, and she kind of realizes that sometimes she can be seen without having to be this big presence. It was super cute. I love this book. I just saw myself wanting to keep reading and reading and reading, and the characters in this book, oh my goodness, I adored. I absolutely loved Vicky. Sharon's writing of social anxiety and what that is like is so to a T. It is exactly how I feel. I'm a person, if you didn't know, that has severe anxiety, mild depression, and I don't really have social anxiety. I work with people all the time, but I used to be really shy when I was younger, and I used to remember how horrible it was to put myself out there and to kind of introduce myself to new people. So I just felt this book was so realistic. There's a lot of characters that I hated, but then grew to love, particularly Vicky's mom, who her mom kind of thinks that this is just something that she's doing because she feels like it. She doesn't really realize that there's something that her daughter is struggling with, and I just felt so sorry for Vicky. Her dad kind of was one of those characters and one of those parents who wanted to be there for her and who doesn't like expect her to be this big thing. He just wants her to be happy, and I really appreciated that. You know, you get the moment then too where it's like everything is realized, but I really love this book. And let me tell you about Lipton Gregory. Ugh. He is super cute, super adorable. He is a friend that Vicky meets in class who kind of struggles with the same things, but he kind of has more confidence in himself. He's just super cute, and how he treats Vicky in the book, and just learning about him, like, he is the perfect boyfriend. Like, I wish I would have met someone like him in high school, because we would have gotten really close friends, and it would have been awesome to know someone who actually went through the same things that I went. But such a cute book. Fun fact, if you didn't know where I live in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. The author is actually from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and she lives in Delaware now. But I found it really cool. I actually reached out to her, and I told her about how much I love the book, and we kind of chatted about stuff that happened in Lancaster and where we went to school and things like that. So it's kind of cool to see an author that has been from where I live become something successful as a writer. I want to read, there's another book she has written, her first one, which is called Between the Lines, and I'm really excited about that one too, because how I read the first, I think it was like the first chapter that they put at the end of this book. It's a girl whose parents end up having to move away and go into a smaller house than what she's used to. She's more of like, I wouldn't say she's rich, but she's more well-to-do. They have a really nice house. So it's kind of her adjusting to that. I'm really excited to read that. I love the author's writing, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to love that one. And I'm definitely looking forward to more books from her in the future. But definitely pick this one up. This was a 5 out of 5 read for me. One of the best books that I have read so far this year. I'm really sad that I did not pick this up when I got it. I got it in a book drop subscription box, which I have a video about that if you wanted to watch what the book drop is about. But I loved it, and I forgot to mention too, it is also a signed copy. What I love about the book drop is we get signed book plates or signed letters or anything like that from the author. So this was one where she gave a signed book plate. So this is going to go with my signed books. I have my hardback books, which are right up top there, and then I have my soft paperback copies, which are down there. I'll probably have to do a video on all my signed books so you guys can see what I have, but this is definitely one of the best that I've read. I'm going to read this for a while, for years to come. I'm going to have my kids read it, especially if they're experiencing social anxiety. So definitely a great read. Go ahead and pick this up, guys. I loved it so much. The next book that I am going to be telling you guys about, it was for reading a book with the spirit color Sorry guys, I can't talk today. I think you're used to that. The next book that I'm going to tell you guys about goes with the challenge of reading a book with your spirit color in the title or on the cover. So for Sagittarius, the color was light blue, which explains a lot because I love the color blue. Anything blue I absolutely love. So I read one of the books that I had that was all over blue, and that is Goldfish, but I believe it is Nat Lurtsima. I don't know how I felt about this one. This is a book about a girl named Lou Braun who is a swimmer at the beginning of the book, and then something tragic happens to her where she ends up not wanting to swim anymore because it affects her confidence. So she ends up dealing with that because her best friend actually gets selected for a swimming camp that she wanted to go to, or a swimming school that she wanted to go to, and she's dealing with her best friend going over there to do that. The book does take place in England too, just so you know. So it's a different part of England that her friend is going to. And she's in her pool the one day, in her school's pool, and she meets this group of boys who get really fascinated with what she's doing. It's kind of like synchronized swimming, but she kind of was doing like breathing exercises or something, and they select her to be their choreographer for them to audition for something like America's Got Talent. I think it's like Britain's Hidden Talent or something is that show in the book, but there's a lot of antics and stuff that happen to it, and you meet her family and just kind of the angst of growing up pretty much. The original title for this, if you're looking for it, I think this series was published in England first, so the title for the original was called Girl Out of Water. So I found out then after I read it that they actually, the author actually wrote a sequel to it, which I'm actually reading, and I will put that in my July wrap-up, but it is Lou Out of Luck. This one, I could get into it, but then some parts I kind of tuned out. Like, I read and still soaked it up, but I didn't find it, like, really captivating, and I don't know if that's just me. I really did like Lou. I liked her character. I liked how her family was and how they got along. They have a weird setup, which I'm not going to explain. If you want to read the book, I just want to leave that as a little surprise for you to discover. I liked how the family interacted. I love how she interacted with her best friend, kind of her inner dialogue, but I don't know. I think I thought it was going to be a little bit more interesting than what I thought it was going to be. It kind of is sad. I do have to say I'm kind of enjoying the second book a lot more. I'm finding a lot of scenes where I'm like laughing out loud or like kind of snorting, and some that I'm just like reading and just it's hilarious. So I would say if you definitely want to read this book and you're kind of intrigued that it's a series, I say definitely give it a shot. Maybe it's just me that this first book wasn't for me, but I am glad I did still read on, and I'm reading the second one now because, like I said, the second one's a lot better, I feel, in my opinion, but still definitely an enjoyable read, I feel. I just don't know if this is what I'm going to be reading again, but definitely glad I got to read it, and it was kind of fun, I have to say. So there's a very interesting story with this next challenge. So the challenge that I finished for this one is that SAGs are early birds. So you wanted to read 75% of a book between the hours of 5 a.m. and 10 a.m. So I did pick a quick read that I was planning on using, just did not go the way I wanted to. I do have a vlog about that. There was a lot of stuff that happened for this challenge, so go and check that out if you want more info. I did 2 books because I was having so many issues. My original book was Vampire's Kiss by Nicholas Adams, but then I also ended up reading The Fish in Room 11 by Heather Dyer. So I'm going to start with this one. Vampire's Kiss, this is one of those little cheesy supermarket paperbacks that they had in the 80s and the 90s, pretty much. This was like the young adult section, pretty much, of these books. But it follows this girl named Susan who falls in love with this person named Drew, and there's this band of vampires that comes around, but they don't know that it's vampires, but people end up turning up dead, and Drew kind of lets her go and helps her figure it out. I didn't like this book. Nope. If you watch the video, there's a blurb that I read on the back of the book right here. That blurb does not do the book justice. So that might be my fault. I walked into this book thinking that Susan and Drew were a couple, and it was going to explore them being a couple and kind of like their friends, not like her friends having a problem with it, thinking that he's the one who is killing all these people. Drew is a newscaster who was killed, and he's trying to warn Susan about these vampires because he was killed by these vampires. I don't know. Just I've read so many of these, and these can be so good, but this was just not good. I was very disappointed. I thought it was going to be something else, and it just did not turn up that way. I ended up not finishing 75% of this, but I still ended up reading it because I'm like, well, I might as well just keep reading. I don't want to start over again. But I did pick another book to go with the challenge, and I did finish this. I actually split it up between reading on days, so I think I read like an hour the one day and then an hour the next day, because this one is a really small children's book. Like I said, this one's called The Fish in Room 11 by Heather Dyer. This is a really cute book that I read when I was in elementary school. I actually got it at my Scholastic book fair. And this is another one I think that's set in England or is written by an English author. She lives in Canada, but she was born in Scotland and moved to Wales, and then she went to Canada. This book is super cute. It's about this little boy who pretty much was an orphan. He's being parented by everybody that operates in this hotel that he lives in. And one day he goes down to the beach and he finds this mermaid named Eliza, and they become friends, and he wants to help her because I believe something got stolen and they're trying to bring it back. There's a lot of antics that happen. She meets the friends of his, as well as he meets her family, and he's trying to help them out of this situation, and then you have little antics with the owner of the hotel and the owner's son. It's got these really cute illustrations as well, and it was a really quick read. That's why I did it. I love this book. This is a book that I'm going to be keeping in my collection for years to come, and I really love this. I think this was a book too that I read in like 2 days when I was younger. If you love mermaids, if you love quick little pick-me-up reads, if you're looking for a book just in general that your kids might like, definitely pick this one up. It does have a newer cover, I believe, because it was published in like 2003 or 2004. This is an original copy, so it's pretty old. It was a fun little tale, super cute, fluffy, something I needed after reading a horrible book that I thought was going to be good. So I'm down to the last 2 books that are in the Read Your Sign Challenge. The book that I read was so needed. If you have not been paying attention to the world and you live under a rock, there has been a big movement called Black Lives Matter that has been more amplified more than ever. I had picked a book originally for the challenge. The challenge was to read a book that you thought was sophisticated. So I picked X by Ilyasah Shabazz, who is actually the daughter of Malcolm X, who this book is about. I picked this book originally just for the challenge, and then Black Lives Matter happened, so I felt compelled to read this. I've been wanting to read this for a while. Same thing with How to Disappear. This is an amazing book that I read. I wish I read it sooner, and it won the Coretta Scott King Award, if you don't see, so that's why I picked it, because if a book is picked for that, it means it's something very significant. X follows Malcolm X from the time he is a teenager. I believe it's when he's in his teens. The book starts out that it goes between like flashbacks and then between present day, so that was kind of really cool to read. He ends up getting taken from his mom, who is struggling to put food on the table, and she is struggling to keep a hold of the family. He gets taken and is adopted. He ends up moving in with his half-sister, I believe, down to, I believe it's Boston or New York. No, New York, because it's in Harlem. He ends up being attracted to the Harlem side, where you have all the gangsters and like all the, I wouldn't say pimps, but something similar along the lines. He gets involved with drugs, and he gets involved with a woman who is white, and is just kind of experiencing his teenage years. I did find out that this is going to be a series. The next book I think is supposed to come out in January, so I am super excited. I read this in like 2 days. I could not put this down. I was intrigued with Malcolm X's story. I didn't know a lot about him. I never really covered him when I was in high school, and it's really sad because I feel like even though he has kind of like a bad rap around him, there's a reason why, and a lot of it has to do with his father, because his father passed away when he was younger. A lot of it has to do with that. The way this is written was beautiful. It made me picture the times, because this all happens in the 40s, just that glamorous 40s side, all the stuff that he went through in this book. It's very eye-opening, and I learned a lot from this, and it made me angry that this is something that my school had never talked about in depth. So I'm hoping with this movement that does change, that this becomes something we at least cover more of, and kids should know about this. I love that it's a series because it did end on a cliffhanger, and I want to know more. So I'm not going to say what the cliffhanger is, just in case you want to read it, but 5 out of 5 for this one. Again, this definitely is one of the best books that I have read this year. I'm so proud of this novel. I am so happy that Malcolm X's daughter wrote this book and that it's out in the public, especially for young adult readers. So definitely pick this up. And I say it's not just for young adult readers. Adults, kids, elderly, everybody should read this, especially with what's going on right now. The last book that I read is To Read Your Ruling Number, which is 9 for Sagittarius. So you had to pick a book that either has the number 9 in it or has that number of page lengths, I believe. And I decided to go with a classic of mine, especially a classic author that I love. I chose Hop Frog, and it is in my little collection here. Sorry, I'm kind of pulling it up. But it is in my little hardback collection that I got at a used book sale. And I absolutely love it. It's a cute little coffee table book that I'll have. And I plan on reading all my other Edgar Allan Poe stuff between this and this. So It's super cute, it's illustrated, and of course, Edgar Allan Poe is my favorite. So I gave that story, it's a 5 out of 5 pretty much for me for that story. It is about a little jester in a kingdom named Hop Frog, and he kind of gets his revenge on people in the king's court because of how he was treated. Just the way Poe writes, he can explain things beautifully. He doesn't take too long to explain things. He gets right to the point, and I think that's what I like about him. Plus, his writing always sends chills down my spine, which, especially if you're a horror fan, I love that feeling. So, it's such a great feeling to have in a weird way. But you know what? It was worth it. Oh, my little sleepy peepee is sleeping right now. She's super cute, and I love her so much. So the next 2 books that I have were not part of the Read Your Sign challenge, but they were books that I read, and I'm really excited to talk about these because these were fun to read as well and kind of split up my reading a little bit. The first book that I'm going to tell you guys out of the 2 is, this one is a book club that my friend and I have started. It's our little private book club. We did it so we could keep in touch with each other and also kind of share our favorite book. It's so nice to have someone to discuss books with, because I feel like when I read things, I don't have someone that I can go to be like, oh my god, did you get to this part? Did you read this? So we picked a book it was a book that I read when I was in middle school. I had actually gotten it for Christmas, and I absolutely loved it then, but it was a long time since I read it, so we picked it back up again. It absolutely shined a little bit more light now than when I first read it. That is Incantation by Alice Hoffman. As you can see, I have a lot of stickies right now. I like to write my thoughts in books when I'm doing it in like a book club, because it kind of puts it into perspective for me. This book is so good. So this takes place during the Spanish Inquisition, and it follows a 15-year-old girl named Estrella, and she finds out later on in the book that her family is secretly Jewish. She deals with a really catty friend. I'm not going to get into about Catalina. Catalina is a terrible person. She's horrible. I'm just going to say that right now. She deals with her best friend, pretty much thinking that she's better than her, and she falls in love with her best friend's cousin, who is pretty much should be off limits to her. But it's kind of her struggling with that and kind of growing up during this tough time and realizing you can't trust everybody that you meet. I kind of compared this book that I was reading to kind of what I was reading with X. It's a different time period. It's the Spanish Inquisition, but people are being persecuted for their religion. Like, being Jewish is not a good thing. You have to be a Christian. I feel like that still is pretty relevant, even though it's not like the Black Lives Matter movement. The Black Lives Matter movement is pretty much someone being targeted, them trying to bring awareness of people being targeted for their skin color. This is the same thing. People in this book are being targeted because of their religion. It's sad either way. This is a book that I would say it's not a happy ending. I will say that. I'm not going to ruin what happens in the book, but it is a very sad ending. It's very heavy. But definitely when you finish this book, you take away a perspective and you kind of sit and think. I know me and my best friend Litsy kind of talked about it after we read it, and we both cherish this book. It was a book she had on her shelf for a while, so she got to finally read it with me and just me reading it again. Definitely, if you're looking for a good something with the Spanish Inquisition, a good historical novel, or if you love Alice Hoffman, I would say definitely read this one if you haven't. I don't know if it's easy to get or if it's hard to get, but I would say definitely try to check like a local bookstore or maybe even a library, see if Barnes & Noble has it. But definitely something you should read if you love historical fiction or you want to read something that's kind of similar to what's going on right now in our society. The last book I have is very exciting for me. This is a book that I fell in love, and a lot of people that have read this so far have fallen in love, especially with this author's writing. So if you do not know from all the coupon codes or from my video that I did with one of my vlogs where I was talking about it, I am a VIP, very important page turner for the company Once Upon a Book Club. Now, Once Upon a Book Club is a book subscription box. They have 3 boxes right now that are available. They have an adult box, a young adult box, and they just recently started their middle grade subscription box. and they're really cute. They're book-shaped boxes. Let me actually grab mine here. So your subscription always comes in a book-shaped box. I get the young adult box because I love reading young adults, and each box is different. So like this one, the young adult is this greenish teal color. The adult box is the pink color, and then the middle grade is kind of like a composition box, which is really super cute. But this is a subscription box where you get a book. Sometimes it's a hard, it's used to be a signed copy, but they're testing letters as well too, kind of like what the book drop does. So you either get that, and then it comes with the book as well as 4 goodies that you unwrap as you read the book. So each package will have a page number on it, and then in your book there'll be a sticky that tells you to open your book. I'm really excited that I got picked for this. This was the first box that I actually did, which was the May box, and I went into it not knowing if I was going to like it, but I was very excited to promote a company who makes reading fun and makes it interesting for not just adults or young adults, but now for little kids that are maybe starting to discover that they love reading and they want something that's more interactive. Or if they're not a big reader, this is something that can get them into reading because they want to get to their gifts. So I feel like it's such a great company. I've had a great experience with them. The gifts that I got for the month for this box were amazing, and I'm so excited for the next one. The next one, I think I got info that says I'm supposed to get on Saturday, but because of COVID, I'm not expecting it to be coming as soon as I wanted to. I love too that they've been really transparent with their process. They've been having some shipping issues with the companies that are giving them the gifts, so they keep letting us know that if it's going to be sent out late, it's going to be sent out later. And I love that. I love when a company does that because it shows that they care about the people that are subscribing to them. It's not just like, oh, well, we can make up our loss later. The book that they chose for the month of May was Buy the Book by Amanda Sellett. This is such a good young adult box book. If you're not familiar with this book, it is about a girl named Mary who lives in a family where literature is king. Everybody in that family reads literature. The 2 parents that are in there are both literature teachers, I believe. And it's just a present. One day, Mary finds out that the school that she is going to has shut down, and she needs to pretty much go to public school. So she's kind of anxious about that. She's never been to a public school before, and she ends up meeting these 3 girls who are kind of like the cool, popular girls, and she ends up becoming friends with them, and she kind of gives them advice told in the verses and prose of the classic literature novels that we all know and love. She also ends up, there's a little love triangle. She ends up falling for this bad boy. She likes to call him the Don Juan, which I love so much. I'm going to start calling the bad boys in books the Don Juans now because of her. She ends up kind of developing feelings, and she shouldn't be, because she's telling one of the friends that she has that he's not a good person, even though Alex Ritter is so cute. I just loved him in this book. I laughed. I not really cried, but there were scenes where I felt really sad, and I was laughing. I was geeking out at all the literature references. The characters are so well written. I couldn't ask for a better book to start being a Once Upon a Book Club subscriber, and now I'm a VIP with them. And I want to say to you guys, thank you so much for creating this box. I know you guys are still technically new, you haven't been around for a long time, but I want to say that this whole box changed my outlook on YA, and that they pick good YA books that aren't just the same thing over and over again. Yes, it's about growing up. Yes, it's about love. Yes, it's about the typical teenage things, but there's so much more that I got out of this book. I'm so happy for that, and I'm so excited to get my next book box and open that up for you guys on camera so you can see what other things that I'm getting. And I don't know, I love it so much. Amanda Sellett, she is such a great writer. I loved her writing. She has a way with words, and I felt like it wasn't the typical young adult book. I feel like some people, when they write young adult, they just kind of go with what's on the shelf, whereas this author kind of goes what's on the shelf and what's selling, but so much more is how I describe it, because there's a lot of stuff that I have not seen in a YA novel that was in this book. So thank you so much, Once Upon a Book Club, for putting this in the box. Thank you, Amanda Sellett, for letting us read this book and devour it and fall in love with it as much as you fell in love writing it. And I'm looking forward to reading more of your work. So definitely so excited to see that, and I'm going to be keeping track. I will be picking up the next book, whatever you write. But yeah, definitely awesome book that I have in my collection. Well, guys, that was it for my wrap up of June, what I read for June, and I wanted to see what you guys thought. So because I am a VIP with Once Upon a Book Club, I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this. I don't know if you guys would like to see an unboxing where I just kind of pull everything out of the box and then kind of read the book and summarize and kind of tell you guys how I'm feeling about it, or if you like a video diary, as I like to call it, or a vlog format. So the reason I ask is because if I do an unboxing, I'm not going to open up the gifts right away. I kind of want to open them as I'm reading the book, because that's how it's supposed to be experienced. But I don't know if you guys want that, and then you want a vlog where I'm opening up all the gifts pretty much as I'm reading this book. But yeah, so let me know what you guys think, because I feel like I could do both if that's what you want. I can just wait until I read the book and I show you guys the gifts. So I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are, how you think I should tackle that, because I want to make it fun for you guys as well, that even though you may not be a subscriber right away, that you're enjoying watching me open this book, and it kind of gets you excited to order a box yourself. So just let me know. All of my handles and everything for the social medias that I have will be in the description box. I'm here to make everything that I do for you guys fun and interactive and different from other booktubers that you've seen before. So not that that's a bad thing. All the booktubers that I love and I watch are amazing, but I want to be different from them. So I kind of want to see what you guys think. Give me any advice. Even if you just have advice for what videos you'd like to see, just let me know, and I can try to put it into consideration and see if it's something that I am able to do. Thank you guys so much. This is the final video for the week. I am planning on doing my next video, which is going to be the books that I'm going to be reading in July. So I'm really excited to show you guys my little stack and what I put in there. So it's really exciting. I'm excited to show you guys what I'm reading. So I'm very pumped up. All right. I love you guys. See you later. Bye.